Before we begin, if you enjoy thoughtful explorations into gardening, nature, and the quiet skills that shape a healthier life, take a moment to subscribe. It helps bring more of these stories to you, and it means a lot. Gardening often begins with a simple gesture, a hand brushing across the top of a soil bed, a seed held between fingertips, the faint breeze carrying the scent of something growing. But behind that simplicity lies one of the oldest and most transformative relationships humans have ever had, the relationship between people and plants. Today, we're going to journey into that world. Not just the romantic corners of gardening, but its deeper layers, the science, the adaptations, the unexpected innovations, and the ways we can grow differently, even in a rapidly changing world. And along the way, we'll explore how gardening is quietly reshaping modern life, from backyards to balconies, from old soil beds to new-age hydroponic systems that have begun rewriting the rules of how food and well-being can be cultivated. Gardening for many begins with soil, rich, fragrant earth. For centuries, people placed their trust in that earth, believing that the ground beneath their feet would provide everything a plant needed. But soil, as humble as it seems, is astonishingly complex. It is a living ecosystem packed with microorganisms, fungi, minerals, and organic matter dancing in delicate balance. Healthy soil breathes, it circulates, it supports entire worlds. Generations before us understood this intuitively. They rotated crops long before agricultural science explained why it mattered. They mulched because their ancestors mulched. They composted because it returned life to the ground. And when they planted, it wasn't merely an act of production, it was an act of participation. You weren't commanding nature, you were joining it. But as the world grew louder, faster, more crowded and more paved over, soil became less accessible. Urban living compressed green spaces. High-demand lifestyles left little time for long, slow cultivation. And many people who loved the idea of gardening simply believed they no longer had the time, knowledge, or environment to start. Yet gardening didn't fade. Instead, it adapted. Across the world, a quiet gardening revival began. People started growing herbs on windowsills, apartment balconies filled with tomato vines, rooftops turned into vegetable patches, and inside small flats, under warm LED lights, little trays of seedlings pushed up their first leaves. Gardening returned, not as a luxury, but as a necessity for sanity, health, and connection. And in the middle of that revival, a particular innovation emerged and began to reshape how people think about growth. A method that didn't rely on soil at all. Something once associated with futuristic farms and glass-walled laboratories, and yet in recent years it has slipped quietly into homes, kitchens, greenhouses, and balconies. Hydroponics. At first glance, hydroponics feels almost too modern, almost too engineered, for something as ancient as gardening. But in truth, it's not a technology that replaces nature. It's one that partners with it. Instead of relying on soil, hydroponic gardening lets the plant absorb nutrients directly from water, enriched with essential minerals. The roots float or anchor in a neutral medium such as cocoa coir or clay pellets, while the water delivers everything a plant needs. This efficiency changes everything. In cities where space is limited, hydroponics offers abundance. In regions with poor soil, it offers opportunity. For people who want fresh food but cannot maintain large gardens, it offers simplicity. And for many young people discovering gardening for the first time, hydroponics is often the doorway. A low-maintenance entry point into a world they assumed required land, weather, seasons, and long weekends. It has also become a surprisingly strong path toward financial independence. Small-scale hydroponic growers now supply restaurants with fresh herbs, leafy greens, and rare lettuces. Others run compact, water-efficient vertical farms. Even at home, growing with precision allows for more harvest with less effort and less waste. And as more people care about health, fitness, and unprocessed homegrown food, hydroponics has become a fast-growing opportunity, a blend of wellness, sustainability, and potential income. This growing interest is why structured learning has become so valuable. Instead of figuring things out through trial and error, many gardeners are turning to guided, easy-to-follow courses. One that has been steadily gaining attention for its clarity and practicality is the hydroponics course from eLearn College. It breaks down the principles and systems in a way that feels accessible for beginners while providing enough depth for anyone looking to grow consistently, whether for personal use or small business. What makes it appealing is how it shows the evolution of hydroponics not just as a hobby, but as a lifestyle shift toward cleaner food, thoughtful living, and sustainable independence. But let's return to the wider world of gardening, because hydroponics is just one branch of a vast interconnected tree. Gardening is never only about technique, it is about reconnection. In a world often dominated by digital screens, predictable routines, and hurried deadlines, gardening interrupts that cycle. It slows you down, it teaches patience, it reminds you that growth is not instant, that life unfolds in stages, that everything has its season. And the more we garden, the more we begin to understand ourselves. Take, for instance, the process of seed germination. A seed might seem like a small, inert object, but within it lies an entire blueprint for life, just waiting for the right combination of warmth, moisture, and time. Seeds are nature's promise, silent, resilient, and profoundly optimistic. Planting them teaches a subtle lesson. Growth requires conditions, not pressure. You cannot force a seed to sprout by willpower alone. You can only nurture the environment that allows it to happen. Gardeners learn this quickly, and once they learn it, they begin applying it elsewhere, to their work, their relationships, their health, their ambitions. Gardening, often unintentionally, becomes a teacher. As we move deeper into the story of gardening, there is another branch where science and tradition intertwine: companion planting. Ancient farmers noticed that some plants thrived when grown together. Tomatoes grew sweeter beside basil. Marigolds warded off pests near cabbages. Beans fixed nitrogen that helped corn flourish. These observations became generational wisdom, and eventually, agricultural science confirmed their underlying mechanisms. To garden with companion planting is to treat the garden not as individual units, but as a community. Each plant contributes something: shade, nutrition, height, scent, or pest resistance. It mirrors the quiet idea that nothing thrives alone. A garden is healthiest when it is diverse. But gardening is not always gentle. Every gardener faces setbacks: a beautiful seedling crushed by unexpected rain, a season of tomatoes ruined by blight, a bed of lettuces eaten overnight by slugs. These moments introduce gardeners to humility, the understanding that nature cannot be controlled, only collaborated with. And strangely enough, these challenges strengthen the bond gardeners feel with their land, whether it is a balcony pot or several square meters of soil. When something fails, gardeners persist. They troubleshoot, they research, they try again the next season. They adapt, they improve. Gardening teaches resilience in its most practical form. This journey, from soil to hydroponics, from failure to resilience, from seed to harvest, mirrors the way gardening has shaped human survival. Long before supermarkets and refrigerated trucks, people lived by the rhythm of the seasons. They stored food, they tended orchards, They harvested rainwater. Today, even though modern life provides conveniences beyond anything past generations dreamed of, there is still something deeply grounding about producing your own food, even if it's just a handful of basil or a small bowl of fresh cherry tomatoes. Many people start gardening for this reason: the desire for authenticity. A leaf you grow tastes different than a leaf you buy, not because of chemistry, though fresher food always contains more nutrients, but because of connection. You watched it form, you cared for it, and when you harvest it, you understand it in a way that cannot be replicated by packaged produce. This return to authenticity is one of the reasons alternatives like hydroponics continue to gain momentum. People want to grow clean, chemical-free food. They want to reduce dependence on supply chains. They want to know exactly what went into what they eat. Hydroponics makes that easier, especially for people with limited time or space. And courses like the one at Airways College exist because people want a guided, practical approach to learning this modern form of growth. It's quiet, almost invisible to casual observers, but it is reshaping how the next generation of gardeners grows their food. Still, for all its innovation, hydroponics is not the only path. Raised bed gardening remains a favorite among enthusiasts. It warms faster in early spring. It drains better. It reduces weeds. And it gives gardeners more control over the soil mix. Raised beds turn small backyards into abundant food forests. Then there's container gardening, a perfect choice for renters, travelers, and urban dwellers. With containers, you can grow lavender on a windowsill, peppers on a balcony, strawberries on a staircase, or lemon trees in a sunny living room. Containers allow mobility. They allow experimentation. They allow gardening to feel flexible instead of overwhelming. And of course, no conversation about gardening would be complete without discussing herbs. Herbs are the quiet achievers of gardens. Mint, basil, thyme, rosemary, coriander. These aromatic plants transform not just meals, but entire moods. Herbal gardening is deeply sensory. The smell of crushed thyme between fingers, the sound of rosemary brushing against terracotta, the sight of mint trailing over the side of a pot. Many gardeners start with herbs, but few ever stop growing them. As the sun moves through its seasons, gardening follows. Spring brings germination and new shoots. Summer explodes with greenery and fruit. Autumn provides harvest and reflection. Winter instructs gardeners to rest, plan, and prepare. Each season has a purpose, and when gardeners follow that rhythm, their lives become more balanced, steady, and intentional. But perhaps the most powerful gift gardening offers is perspective. In a world constantly demanding speed, gardening teaches slowness. In a culture obsessed with efficiency, gardening teaches patience. In societies leaning toward isolation, gardening encourages connection with nature, with others, and with ourselves. Many gardeners describe the same phenomenon. When their hands are in the soil, their minds feel quiet. When they water their plants, worries dissolve. When they watch something grow, they feel alive. That sense of wellness, calm, clarity, groundedness, is why modern gardening hasn't just survived the digital age, it has thrived within it. People need grounding. They need something real to hold, to nurture, to witness. And that brings us back to the growing interest in alternative gardening systems. Hydroponics, no longer a niche method, now serves families, chefs, students, and small entrepreneurs. It provides a way to grow clean food anywhere, at any time, with near-perfect control. It saves water. It grows faster. It can be scaled up or down, from a kitchen shelf to a commercial greenhouse. And for those wanting to understand this system from the roots upward, Airways College's hydroponics course offers a detailed, practical approach, one that aligns with the modern shift toward health, sustainability, and self-reliance. For many, it becomes the first step into a lifestyle where gardening is woven into everyday living, not as a chore but as a source of wellness and opportunity. As we come to the close of this exploration, remember something simple yet profound. Gardening is not defined by size. A sprawling orchard and a single pot of basil can offer the same sense of joy, purpose, and peace. What matters is the act itself, the decision to cultivate life. Whether through soil or water-based systems, whether outdoors or in a compact apartment corner, gardening invites us to care, to nurture, and to welcome growth into our daily routine. If you found this journey inspiring, insightful, or grounding, consider subscribing. It supports the creation of deeper, meaningful explorations like this. And if you feel curious about stepping into the world of hydroponic gardening, whether for health, productivity, or simply the joy of fresh homegrown food, take a look at the hydroponics course at College. It's a gentle, well-structured starting point for anyone wanting to grow clean, abundant plants in a modern and efficient way. Thank you for being here. May your days be filled with growth, and may your hands always find something worth planting.